What's up, everybody? For this video, we're going to be inspecting and refreshing the limited slip 10-inch brake rear end that is going to be going in the truck very soon. So the brakes in this thing are totally shot. The lines need replaced, the cylinders need replaced, pads, drums, everything needs completely redone brakes wise. So I'm going to go through everything, and then I'm going to, before I even put any of my new parts on, which you've already seen onto this rear end, I'm going to take this cover off and drain all the fluid out and just inspect the inside, make sure this diff isn't shredded apart or destroyed and broken or anything like that. Make sure everything is in there, and then once it checks out, we'll go ahead and refresh the brakes and get all the brake stuff put back together. I might throw the diff cover back on real quick with no gasket, just so that I can have it on there and not lose parts and bolts. First thing I want to do is get that diff cover off of there and then drain it, see what kind of shape this rear end is actually in, and as long as everything checks out in there, we'll go ahead and refresh these brakes. I've got the heater going. Hopefully you can hear me right now. I've got wrench on the diff. I'm gonna go pop it off, let all the fluid out. I got the pan underneath of it. I almost forgot to put that down there. That would have been a mess. This fluid just gonna come rushing out of it, and once I've got it off, I will go ahead and show you guys what it looks like, and then hopefully it checks out and we can go and do the brake. Alright, well, here is the diff. The gears do not look shredded at all. They look to be in pretty good shape, actually. Everything checks out for the most part. I can see a magnet on the bottom. I think that's a magnet. It's got a bunch of metal stuck to it, and there's not a ton of metal to it. There's just some little specks. So if that is a magnet and that's all the metal that is on it, then I think we're in some pretty good shape here. There's all that. There's my nice diff. We got it kind of dirty when I pop that cover off. There's RTV all over it that'll have to come in and scrape off. I got the cover sitting in my other pan over there. Kind of stinks. Gear oil does not smell good, but it looks great. It doesn't look all like hued, like purple, or like it's got hot or anything, which is good. Yeah, I mean, it looks fine. It doesn't look all worn out and destroyed. Oh, there's the clutches in there. Now you can see them. My LSD clutches. Sweet. And I can't really see much of them, so hopefully they're not all wrecked. But that's them in there. Open diff, of course, would not have that at all. That's the inside of the diff. Everything checks out. Everything looks great. There was not much fluid in it, but the thing, if you probably noticed, had been leaking pretty bad for a while, so I'm not really surprised by that. But yeah, everything seems good. I'm happy with that. That means that it is time to go ahead and install brakes then, I guess. I'll leave this drain pan down here so it can drip as much of its fluid out as possible. It's really cold out, so it's going to take a minute for all that to drain, and sometime during the week I'll come scrape all the gasket sealer off of the diff cover and the diff itself, and maybe I'll paint that cover. I don't know. I can always paint it later on in the future, and then at some point during the week I'll go get the gasket and a new plug for it so it's all sealed up real good. Might put the cover on. I will for sure put the cover on before we go stick the rear end in the truck, and then all that's going to need to be done before the rear end's 100% complete is install new brake lines, because they got damaged a little bit as I was pulling out of the truck, and they don't look like they're leaking or ripped open, but I just don't trust them. They're old. They have a little bit of rust on them, and since I've got the rear end, you know, I'm going to do all this work on the rear end and the brakes, I might as well go ahead and put fresh brake lines on it. Make sure everything is new and good to go. So I'm going to go in the house, grab my brake stuff, and then I'll do one side first so I kind of know what I'm doing, because I've done e-brake drum brakes, but I've never done actual drum brakes. So I'm going to go do one side, figure out what I'm doing, and then do an edit or a time lapse of the other side. And then we'll have the diff pretty much ready to go, aside from the cover being put back on. And then next weekend we'll be able to come out here and stick it in the truck and do some two-wheel peels. Alright, so I've got this side of the brakes completely done, but I kind of screwed myself and forgot to order 2 of the automatic brake adjusters. Now, all the components for them on this rear end were fine, except for the cables were snapped, and I got one in there because I bought one. The one that's in there is actually the one that's supposed to go on the left side over there, but the springs and everything are right. But I screwed myself and didn't buy that, so I can't completely finish the other side because this cable has to be clipped in behind both of these springs, and then the holder goes behind another spring right there before I can put everything on. So I basically can't put the springs in for the actual pads or shoes themselves without having that in there first, otherwise I'll have to take it all apart. But this side is done, so I'll give you guys a quick before and after side-by-side look. So here's the new drum. I got a bunch of dust all over it because I didn't clean this thing out first, but that was kind of dumb. I'll probably hose it down with, or vacuum it out or something real quick. But we got all the new hardware, new springs up here, new spring down here. I got the new lever that came with the one adjuster I had. Got the old spring for the self adjuster, the new cable, the new guide, new mounting springs, of course the new shoes themselves, the old adjuster, because each one for either side this is reverse thread, or it might be normal thread, I can't remember. This is normal thread, the one on the left side is reverse thread, so I couldn't use the new one I have, it's sitting right there. And so I just put the old one back in so I could get this side done at least and give you guys a comparison. I'll probably go to the parts store sometime during the week, buy the right hand side one, take the stuff apart again real quick, and I'll go and get all the new stuff here and then take everything and put the other stuff on the other side where it actually is supposed to go. And I got the new studs in this one, and this one are the new studs that I put in. I used a nut as a spacer and then an old lug nut, threaded it on and just pressed them in like that. Worked great, and since this nut has like a coned surface on the inside of it, it holds the lug nut center and everything while it's on there, which is pretty nice. It worked really well, and I think that it pretty much covers everything that I put in there. We've already got the diff open. I found out I can turn it actually, because that isn't sitting on that brick, and I'm just letting it slowly drip itself out. It's warm in here right now, as you can tell because I'm in a t-shirt. So hopefully most of the fluid that's in it will drain out. And here's the other side. Let me grab a light real quick. Here's what the other side looks like. This side's torn up a bit more than the other side was, but this is basically what it looked like, covered in crud. The cables on both of the self-adjusters are snapped. This one is broken right there, which kind of sucks, but oh well, I guess. And it's missing a couple other pieces. When I pulled the drum off at the junkyard, a bunch of stuff just like fell out of it, so I don't know what's really missing and what's here, but it looks like most of the stuff, like all the e-brake stuff, is still in there. So this side's way worse than the other side was, but it'll be alright. I'll go and probably vacuum that other side out real quick since there's all that dust that fell off. But yeah, that's where we're at, I guess. I guess I'll just end the video here because I'm probably going to go and put the other side partially together just to get some of that stuff done. But there's not going to really be much to show you. All I can really do is put the pads, or the shoes, I keep calling them pads, the shoes in. And that's as far as I can really get. So I think that's where I'm going to end the video for now. You get to see the inside of the diff. You get to see one side done. I'll go ahead and stick this drum on real quick. There we go. There we go. That's on. This looks good. You can tell which studs are new and which ones are old. And you can tell which one I've been using to hold the drum on with. And then it just centers itself on its own, which is pretty nice. And then while I'm putting this rear end in the truck, I'll have one of these on either side. I got another nut right here for the other side. That way when I'm putting it on the truck, the drums don't just fall apart on me. But old versus new. The old drums are sitting over there. I'll show you real quick before I go what the inside of the driver's side one looked like. There you go. Look at that. Look at all those grooves. Literally worn all the way down to the metal. This side didn't wear all the way down to the metal, but it's extremely rusty. It's so bad. And then this one, there's a lip on this one, this rusty one. You can see all the rust built up on that lip. This one, they wore down so far that that lip is gone, which is pretty sad, but yeah. The only thing I have a question about for you guys, I gotta go pull the drum back off, since I don't know how these brakes are supposed to be set up because they were so torn apart and jacked up when I got them, and I don't feel like taking my truck apart to go look. I don't know how tight this adjuster cable is supposed to be. See, right here, let's move the light over here. It's got some slack in it, and I thought that these are always supposed to be tight, like a little bit snug, because that's why there's a spring on this, but I don't know. I've never installed one of these before, but I always thought that that wasn't supposed to have hardly any slack in it at all, but I could be wrong. So somebody please confirm whether there is or isn't supposed to be any slack in that or not, because it's kind of bothering me now, because that could have been part of what made the old ones break that were on this, was like it's slipping out and going in behind this metal bracket and then grinding against the inside of the shoe and wearing down. But I don't know. So somebody please let me know if you've ever done that on any other vehicle, if you know whether it's supposed to be tight or slack or not. But that's going to be it for this video. I apologize for not getting as much done as I thought. I wanted to get all of the brakes aside from the lines totally squared away today, but that's not going to happen, obviously, because I'm missing parts. But I want to thank you guys very much for watching. I will give you guys an update during the week once I have this all totally squared away. And I will see you guys later.